door, and which is the nature of this business, like you really do need to meet in person. Like I need to see your samples and everything. So fairly quickly we realized it would like really affect our business and what we're doing, right?
Wow. So now, did you guys have to shut down at all?
Yes, we did. It just, like I said, there wasn't people coming through the door. And at that point too, we were a little bit scared for the safety of staff and everybody too. Like you work together for years and years. So it's not just about like getting work done. It's also about making sure you're safe. And there wasn't a lot of information. So we actually just temporarily laid everybody off for the time being, contacted the clients, just make sure that nobody was going to be in a major hurry or anything like that. And so we finished up the work that was urgent, and anybody who wanted to wait or was willing to wait, we just held off on that, and we've temporarily laid off so that we can just keep that social distance and all that and figure out what to do next.
Now, are you guys still kind of social distancing? Are you seeing a change in how, the sentiment of your customers? Are they more comfortable coming in?
Yeah, so we have been working, like we have quite a big shop, so we're able to socially distance really easily. Like nobody has to interact. We can stagger the times that people are working so they can work in teams of two so they're not alone and that kind of thing. So we've started our workroom because we've ramped up a production of masks, like cloth masks. There's such demand. People are really asking us for it. We have some big orders for it. So we've had to get the workroom started working. But we're not officially going to open the store until, the guidelines say that it's open. So we're planning to open on March 14th and just see how it goes. We have been getting a lot of phone calls. We've kept our phones on the whole time. We have been meeting people by appointment only if they're healthy, if we're able to socially distance properly. And we have been doing that. So at first, I would say not really many people were as interested. But now I can tell people are just getting more comfortable to the situation, the new normal. And like I can tell that the last 2 weeks we're starting to get really quite busy.
And I think you nailed it when you called it the new normal. I mean, everyone's having to just kind of adjust to this is how we go about our days now and how we go about doing business.
Yeah. And I mean, we do as many consultations, like for simple things like blinds and measurements and quoting, that's quite easily done socially. But like again, part of it is, I mean, the nature of our business, this is the end. Like generally you put these window coverings in at the end, you're excited to move in the house, people really care about it. It makes a huge impact in the overall look and feel of the house. So outside of blinds, like when you get into the drapery and get into the upholstery, you really want to see, touch and feel those fabrics. It's a very tactile industry.
I can imagine. And then with so many people spending so much more time at home, I think it's probably inevitable that they're also being more aware of, their surroundings and, hey, how can we beautify this space now that we're spending, the full workday here?
I am crossing my fingers and hoping, because for us, it's like been a concern. You can definitely live without drapery during tough economic times. Like it's not necessarily a need. It's something that makes your home beautiful, makes the space comfortable. But like, when times are tough and economically and financially people are not able to afford it, this is one of those things you don't have to have right away, right? You can wait. So I'm hoping that things will be okay, things will get back to normal, and that because people have spent a lot of time, I've actually heard this from a couple of designer friends of mine and some other people in the industry, that they are actually getting busy because people are realizing a lot of these projects that they've left aside, or things that were unfinished, or if they moved in and only put in the blinds for the last 5 years, they're starting to really get like a more critical eye as you spend more time in the space and realizing that maybe they need to do something. So hopefully that will be the case and help us out just the first couple of months as the economy adjusts again, right?
That's good. And sorry, did you say that or did I read somewhere you guys are doing masks?
Yeah, so we're doing cloth masks. Just like I said, a lot of just our friends are asking, but I also have a couple of big contracts. Like we deal with a lot of senior homes, that kind of stuff. So they're not medical grade masks, definitely not for hospital use, but for people, if you're trying to socially distance, go into the supermarket, that kind of thing, then definitely you can get them if you need them.
That's awesome. That is great. So what advice can you give to anyone that's, owning a business and going through the same kind of challenges? What advice would you like to leave them with?
Well, I mean, I think everybody, I can only, like, we know what we're experiencing, and you know your business.
Oh, hold on. Where did I lose you? There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I just, like, I hope people are holding out hope. I hope that we will get better. Um, it's just, it's not useful to get discouraged. It's nothing, like, these are things that are out of our control. So I just don't see, I think we've all gone through the wave of emotions of panic to, like, I'm calm today, everything's good. And I just feel at this point, it's not constructive as much as we say it's easy. I hope people just can calm down. It feels like the end is coming, or at least we're reopening. So hopefully there'll be some sort of recovery, and just let's, tighten up and just see if everything gets better. And I hope that it does. And
Just to clarify, because when you said the end is coming, I'm like, oh wait, no, she means the end of this pandemic. So yes,
it has to end at some point. Yeah. I hope.
Yes, we all do. We all do. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you, Ega. And as you know, we were having some technical difficulties, so we're actually recording this and we'll be posting the recording after. So thank you for your patience while we were kind of sorting through that. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in our second guest now. So please stay with us, and thank you again for joining us today, and kind of sharing those pivots that you were able to implement in your business. I think that says a lot about the kind of company that you're running, and we look forward to hearing more about your business in the future.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Ega.
I hope everybody stays safe and stays well.
Yes. Thank you. That's true. We should all be saying that.
I'm sure they know you're thinking.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, and I don't know. Now my guest is gone again. So hold on. I'll just let's see if I can or you know what? We'll just move over. You know what? This is so ironic, but this whole show is doing a pivot today.
It's the first time you're allowed.
Second time. So funny. Okay. We'll see you soon. We'll come back to you at the end of the show. Thanks, Ega.
No problem.
And now joining me, I have Anton Morgulis with 7-6 Group. He's on the phone, so we're going to wait for him to connect.
Oh. No, I got in. Okay, it's all good. Okay, thanks. Okay, bye.
Hello, Anton, and welcome.
That was an adventure to get in.
It is. This whole show is a pivot in itself. So we're actually recording it right now. I'm not sure if we were able to get on to Facebook at all. There seems to be some errors. So thank you for your patience. I had Ega go first, and now I'll just we'll move over to your interview. Super excited to hear about the exciting things that 7-6 Group is doing.
Okay, sure, sounds good.
So maybe we'll start off by you can tell us a little bit about for those that don't know. Tell us a little bit about what you do aside from being an artist. With I think you've done sculptures, architecture. I mean, you're very well known for your really artistic developments here in the city. What else can you share with us?
Oh, well, I don't have anything prepared. So
we're all off the cuff here. Very casual conversational.
Okay, I'll go off the hip. So, yeah, artistic sort of visions run in my family, and after doing real estate for many years, commercial real estate and brokerage, I needed to have some expression of artistic sort of visions that I have. And so combined with the trying to revitalize the areas like Queen Mary Park or North Edge, and see what it can be and the opportunities. It has a lot of opportunities. I think people are underestimating how close they are to downtown and how many amenities are available to them within minutes. So it's a little bit underdeveloped area and maybe even undervalued. So seeing that, we started looking for properties that could accommodate some upgrades and some redevelopment and bring up some of the things that people are looking for, something that's maybe hip, stands out, out of norm. That's basically, we try to revitalize the buildings that are already there if we can. So we just start following that one step at a time, growing, learning every single time, and being part of the community. So once we come into the community, we really try to engage everybody in it and see what the community wants, and see how it flows with some of the experiences that we have learned over the years, what works and what doesn't work. How do we create these local gems of commercial spaces that can service the residential people in surroundings. So it's a combination of many, many things. It's not about really me, it's about actually everybody. It's about how do we all work together, because it's just one big circle, right? It's a team effort. We're doing it right now with North Edge Association. We're trying to participate to give North Edge the best advantage we could. So we're trying to create something that's affordable, sustainable, because of course local businesses can only have certain budgets, and not to mention the present unprecedented environment that we live in, which is hopefully is coming to the end.
Yes.
Now that they're relaxing some rules. But creating a lifestyle, I think everyone's earning that lifestyle, that an environment, or be part of something that they feel gives them all the sort of emotional outlets and physical and support infrastructure like groceries, medical facilities, road structure, and so on. So it's quite complex. So I don't envy our city councils and don't envy the province. It's a lot involved. And so we're just trying to be part of it and create something really cool.
So tell us a little bit about when did you first start to implement changes in your business? I know that the news kind of trickled into Canada. So, I mean, were you guys shutting down your offices right away? What kind of changes did you implement in response to kind of the increasing alarm around the situation?
Talking about COVID-19.
Yes.
So as we saw that this becomes a pandemic, and that the province, federal will plan to shut people down from being able to operate, we needed to figure out a way to create an infrastructure that all our tenants could survive. So we first went to all our financial institutions, banks, life insurances, and so on, and asked for postponement of all our mortgages or whatever payments we can. And we started working with them. Once we saw that there is a possibility of that happening, we then approached all our tenants and we gave them several options where they can continue to pay, they can pay half of their net rent, or not pay any net rent, postpone it until they can, and just pay operational costs, just so the buildings can still be there when this is over. So the taxes are paid, HVACs are taken care of, utilities are paid. Because if you don't do that, then there's no building left by the time you come back there. So majority of our tenants, pretty well 99% of our tenants worked very well with that, and finding ways how they can do some, well, with restaurants is just doing pickup orders, with other people. They find ways how can do things online, and do whatever they can just to have minimum amount of revenue. And we work with every single tenant and listen to every single tenant. Now everyone's was very scared, and alarmed. And so we had to also deal with everybody's emotions. And I think we did okay. People are a little bit more, it's a new norm now, right? The new way of doing business. And now things that are opening up, hopefully people can get back to at least half of the way where they used to be. So just got to work with everybody together. It's not about just one side.
That's very commendable. And I mean, I can only imagine how grateful your tenants must be that you were able to kind of accommodate and understand through an empathetic lens that, you know, that we're all going through that same kind of struggle and facing these challenges together. So that's admirable. Now, do you have any advice for other business owners that are, you know, in Edmonton that are facing the same challenges, that are facing kind of, you know, roadblocks and need to come up with workarounds? What would you say to them if they're watching?
Well, I try not to give advices, Ingrid. I found it's not a very good method.
Okay.
But I will share an experience.
Sure.
I can share what my experience is, and whether people decide to take that or not, or do their own thing.
Okay.
They can do that. So what I have done is, I mean, it's the same as everybody else. Everyone has a fear. Everyone's worried about their families and mortality and everything else that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there was, of course, some research. I think everybody does research. But at the same token, I decided just baby steps, small step at a time. It's an overwhelming situation. You know, if you try to conquer it, if I try to conquer it all in one shot, it would be overwhelmed. So I do one step at a time. I deal with one item and I try to get that done. I'll deal with another item and I try to get that done. It's a lot of administrative stuff you have to do, because you have to literally talk to each individual, whether it's a trade or person or tenant, each one individually. So it's a lot of work. This is not an easy task, but there are rewards for me where we talked and dealt with everybody. And like I said, 99% of people are very good and thankful that we're doing, but there's always 1% that just sees only one side. And I maybe caution people about thinking that it's only about them. You should always maybe thought, and that sounds like an advice, and I'm sorry.
Forgiven.
Maybe just think that whoever you're talking to or whoever you're dealing with is dealing with the same things. They got the same trouble, same problems. So just try not to make it about you. Try to realize that it's a joint effort.
We're really all in this together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. For those who don't know, Anton's development, Manchester Square, has it's a beautiful addition to the area, and it's on 107th Ave in which street, Anton? 121st?
120th Street.
120th?
Right, yeah, between right next to the main bike lane or bike trail.
Wonderful. And before we move on to our next guest, when for those who are maybe, you know, looking at starting a new business or have kind of gotten in touch with a passion during this social distancing and self-isolation period, when will you be ready to start looking at some tenants for that beautiful development?
Well, thanks, Ingrid. Appreciate that. We're completed. We're talking to all the tenants now. Of course, tenants that we talked to before put it on hold during this pandemic, but now they're back on the table, and we're starting to talk to people every day and negotiating to put them in. The complex will be finished in 2 months.
Wow.
Yes, but we are already trying to stabilize people in different bays now. So If anyone's interested and don't want it to sound like a sale pitch, but
Wow.
they can just go manchestersquare.ca and they'll see all the information there. And we're happy to help anybody.
Wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
thank you again for making the time, Anton. I know that you must be extremely busy, with all these pivots that you're making in your business, and really appreciate you being part of the inaugural first episode. As I was sharing with our other guests, we had some technical difficulties in streaming and broadcasting the show live. So this is being recorded and will be posted as soon as we're done. But thank you again. Please don't leave. Just turn off your video. I'm going to bring in our next guest, and then at the end we can all have a quick chat before we wrap up the episode.
Sounds great.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to welcome Rory Pidgeon. Rory is with Arthur Murray Dance Studio in Edmonton. And where is Rory? There you are, Rory. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for your patience as we pivoted through the broadcasting challenges. I was just mentioning to Anton that we'll be posting the recording since we were unable to stream live to Facebook, but it will be going up on there. And so, Rory, for those who don't know you, please, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at Arthur Murray?
My name is Rory. I'm one of the co-franchisees here at Arthur Murray here in Edmonton. We specialize in social ballroom dancing, but we also do weddings and competitive ballroom dancing as well.
Awesome. And so very social activity. You must have been greatly impacted by the recent happenings, COVID. Can you tell us a little bit about what that looked like at the outset and what changes you had to implement in your business to make it?
Absolutely. I think that, one of the things we like to say is that ballroom dancing was the original social network. And we really focused on bringing people together and creating that human connection. And so when COVID started, it made it really difficult for us because we had to start teaching at a distance. And of course, we followed all the hand sanitizing procedures and wiping down all the surfaces. But we were one of the first businesses that had to actually close down because of the level of contact that we had. So as soon as this started, once they closed down all the schools, we got shut down right away.
Wow. Now, you have a pretty tight-knit community over there, if I understand it correctly. I mean, ballroom is quite the competitive sport, if you will, not just a pastime. So how did your students and the community around Arthur Murray kind of rally to stay connected during those social, like the real core of the social distancing and self-isolation that we've all just kind of been going through?
You know what, we're really feeling the impact, like I said, because it's kind of like our country club here. Everybody loves coming here a couple times a week, and it's really a social outlet for people. So to kind of get ahead of the COVID situation, we've been teaching online group classes as a way to still connect with our clientele and get our students dancing and engaged in their own homes. So anyone with a partner at home got an opportunity to dance with that partner, and anyone without kind of learned some of the steps in the figure. So several times a week, we're running private group classes to our clientele, and then we're also teaching private lessons as well, and we're doing that online through Zoom and other streaming services.
Wonderful. That's excellent. And so how have you found your students responding to it? I mean, is it a bit of an adjustment, I'm guessing, well received, just happy to still be connected?
That's exactly it. It's a substitute. It's not an amazing substitute for coming into the studio and doing your dancing. Not everybody has a ballroom at home, and I understand that. That's okay. Yeah. But we're doing the best we can, and I think the clients and our students really appreciate that we're getting ahead of things and really still trying to connect with them. So it's cool because we have a scholastic system that focuses on a medalist program, and so we do examinations, and our students actually take tests in their dancing, and they graduate and move into the next level. And so there's a little bit of monotonous work that comes with memorizing figures, developing some of the techniques and stuff, and it's a cool opportunity to do some of that legwork right now. So our students are learning the patterns and developing the skills and the figures at home on their own, and then they'll come in and they'll do their testing in the studio when we reopen, which is really exciting.
Wow. It sounds so essentially this has created an opportunity for your students to focus on the more technical aspects of dance? Is that?
Yeah, we kind of get to laser focus in on some of the nerdier stuff where we can get a little more detailed and talk a little bit more about some of it. When you're in the studio, we want to keep you moving, and so we spend as much time as we can dancing as possible, and sometimes we just need to talk about some of the theories and the techniques, and it's been a cool opportunity to discuss dancing and talk about the physics behind it and some of the art behind it, and it's had a silver lining in a lot of ways because it's allowed us to be hyper-focused on certain actions with our students, and so that's kind of cool.
That's awesome. And so tell me, what are your plans? So are you planning to reopen, just kind of waiting for the guidelines to be clarified? Are there any immediate plans or kind of implementing some new systems?
Yeah, we are looking at Alberta's reopen plan, their 3-stage reopen plan, and I'm really hoping that we can open in stage 1. That's going to be up to the government. So we've made some adjustments to how we run our business on a day-to-day to qualify, hopefully, for that stage 1 reopening. We're doing a lot of different things. All of the staff are going to have professional permanent masks that they'll wear while they're teaching until this is kind of eased off, and the students will have throwaway masks that they can wear, and we'll do gloves. We have a laser temperature gun to make sure that nobody's got a fever. We will be postponing group classes and parties until, of course, we're authorized by the government to do that. So we'll just be focused on the one-on-one private lessons, and then section off the ballroom to make sure everyone has individual teaching areas. I have staff members designated so that hourly there's a staff member designated just wiping down surfaces, so it'll be constantly cleaned. And then stacking appointments to make sure that we never have more than X number of people in the building at a time. So we're trying everything we can to accommodate the health and well-being of our staff and our students to make sure that we can open in phase 1, which is what we'd like to do.
That's very commendable. It sounds like you guys have really thought about all the finer details, and it just kind of highlights how many things that you need to, as a business owner, be on top of in order to ensure the ultimate safety of your clientele and your instructors. So
absolutely,
good on you.
And I recognize we have a lot of frontline workers, and so I've spoken with a lot of the doctors and nurses, and I've said kind of, what procedures would you like to see implemented at the studio that would help make sure that there's no cross-contamination and that everything's as hygienic as possible? And so those are some of the suggestions I've been given, and we're going to obviously go with the professional recommendations and any of the guidelines set out by the government to try to be one of the forerunners. We want to get ahead of this, but we also want to be one of the people in the front lines of helping with that social rehabilitation, which I think is going to be so important in the next few months.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it there when you said rehabilitation, because it really is going to be kind of a reintegration to what we used to just take for granted, right? So
yeah, I think we have to relearn how to interact with each other and how to maintain that distance while still being socially friendly. And I think it's going to be a very interesting world over the next 6 to 12 months. And I'm excited to be part of that. I'm excited to be involved in the process. And I really hope that we can help connect people in a new way.
So now you're a local business, but you're part of an international chain. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So have you, are there any interesting challenges that the franchise itself is facing on a kind of global scale that perhaps you're not facing here in Canada, or is it kind of the same across the board, regardless of which country?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of, I think every country's been affected quite heavily, but of course in the United States, each state has so much control over how they determine their processes moving forward. And so each individual state kind of has their own guidelines. So some of the studios have been open for business and haven't had to close. Some have had to close down permanently until further notice. And so it's kind of all over the map. But I think as a general guideline, everyone's had to close down for a short period of time and focus on, we've really been doing worldwide education where everyone teaching private lessons has kind of gotten together in Arthur Murray's and discussed what's been the most effective, what we found our clients have really enjoyed, and how we can be the best possible teachers while we're online, right?
It's amazing. So it's actually brought more like your community closer together globally.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
While allowing you an opportunity to really kind of lead on a local scale in terms of that customer safety. Awesome.
And we have to relearn, right? I mean, we're very well practiced at what we do, but what we do involves you coming into the building. And so we're reteaching ourselves how to educate by using these online tools and how to educate using group classes online and private lessons online. And so it's been a really interesting challenge for us, I think. But it's caused us to grow in a lot of ways and develop our skills. And we're always up for a good challenge, right? So I think it's gone over pretty well. And I know that the first week or two, we had 1 or 2 people book a private lesson, and now the phones are kind of ringing and everybody's going, hey, I even have new clients sending me emails asking if they can try their very first lesson as an online lesson, which is exciting.
That's awesome. Well, before we kind of wrap up the show, what advice or counsel or just an experience you want to share, but what words would you like to leave with our audience in terms of the challenges that they're likely facing as well as business owners and as members of the community?
Well, I think that the most important thing at this stage is that knowledge is power, right? The more we know about where we're getting help from the government, what we're able to do, how we're able to interact, whose responsibilities fall, which responsibilities fall on who. I think the more information we have about COVID-19, about the Alberta relaunch, about the procedures moving forward, is going to be better. And then for other local business owners, I mean, it's the same thing. The more you know about where the government's planning to help out, when you're allowed to reopen, and are you prepared for that reopening stage? Because it could happen fast. You could get the phone call tomorrow saying, hey, it's time to open up. And are you ready to do that, right? So I think the big thing moving forward is when it's time to reopen, are we prepared to hit the ground running?
Preparedness. Well, thank you very much, Rory. I'm going to bring in Aga and Anton again. And let me just get them back in here, and we can do like a little, I want them in. So I just wanted to say thank you again to all 3 of you for joining us in the first episode. Thank you for your patience while we got our virtual studio functional there. And thank you most of all for making the time to, share your stories and advice or counsel or experiences with the community. I think that this is a great opportunity for us to support one another. And I really, really sincerely appreciate the role that each of you have played in, moving forward with this initiative. So thank you again. And I guess you guys can talk too,
Well, thanks, Ingrid. No, thanks for putting this together. I think this transparent sort of communication that all public can now be part of or listen to or even communicate is going to be apparent to the new way, especially that we're going to be doing business. I don't think it's going to go away, even when we're going to be allowed to hug and touch and shake hands. I think we're still going to end up communicating with a larger public by this type of devices, what you're putting together. Thank you. I think this is going to be the new way of transparency and large public integrating large public into it. Yeah,
I agree, and I'm excited about it. Well, I'm going to go ahead and cue our end music. I want to just remind you guys that I'll be posting this on Facebook, and I encourage you to tune in, and everyone to tune in next week when we do this again with 3 more of our local business owners. Remember, this is a way to support your local community, and really we can learn from each other, come together, and support economic growth, not just amongst our area, but our city as well. So thank you again, everyone, for joining, and have a wonderful day. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Ingrid.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ingrid. And I wanted to say, I'm really happy we're doing something like this, because it's like Rory was saying, with the social isolation and not seeing each other, it's nice to feel that we're together and that we care about each other.
Yes.
So we're doing this.
Well, thank you. Thanks, and thank you, and you're welcome. Hugs all around.
Okay.
All right. Bye, guys.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.